trial being recorded? Sir, sit down! Do you have an oath of office?
All right, buckle up, everyone. Today we're taking a real deep dive into this extraordinary courtroom drama. We've got a source. It's a YouTube video transcript from a channel called Christopher of the Fleming family, Al. And it basically drops us right into a Westminster court.
Okay.
Where this one individual, well, he challenges the very fabric of the legal system. So our mission today is to unpack his, precise claims, try to understand the philosophy behind it all.
Yeah, it sounds like quite a radical philosophy.
It really is. And we want to figure out what this whole encounter reveals about these, alternative views on law and authority. Get ready for some pretty surprising turns.
Definitely sounds intriguing.
So the transcript puts us right there. It's about 10.19 in Westminster. The speaker, he first says he's Christopher Fleming, the defendant, but then, and this is key, he calls himself the sovereign man.
Right.
Now, that term sovereign man, it seems absolutely central. What does that actually mean in this context?
Well, it's really the core belief, isn't it? A sovereign man, or sometimes you hear sovereign citizen, they believe they're a self-governing individual, like completely independent of conventional government laws, taxes, that sort of thing.
Okay, independent.
Yeah, they only operate under, say, common law or maybe natural law. Laws they define, definitely not statutory law or maritime law. They claim those only apply to, like, corporations or these legal fictions.
Legal fictions, we'll have to circle back to that. So his very first move in the courtroom is pretty remarkable. He's standing alone before the bar, right? Everyone else is sitting, packed room, but he won't sit down. He says so. What's the significance there? Is that just defiance?
Well, it's probably not just defiance for its own sake. See, within this kind of unique worldview, standing before the bar could be interpreted as rejecting the court's jurisdiction, specifically like maritime or admiralty jurisdiction, which they often claim courts operate under. In their view, sitting down, that implies you consent to that whole system. So his posture and him having his paperwork all laid out, as the transcript says, it really sets a tone. He's there to challenge, definitely not to comply.
Right. And then, boom, he immediately starts firing off questions. Like he's interviewing the court officials.
Yeah.
Asking things like, how was the man arrested there that night? Are you the public trustee regarding this matter? Are you a public servant? Who are you? And over, do you have an oath of office? Now, for someone maybe not familiar, what's a public trustee normally, and why are these questions so important to him?
Okay, so in standard legal terms, a public trustee usually manages, assets or trusts for the public good.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. But here, in this context, these aren't just random questions he's throwing out.
Right.
They're absolutely fundamental to his challenge, asking for an oath of office or asking, are you the public trustee? It comes from this belief that public officials get their authority from these oaths, or maybe from operating within some kind of trust system, a system the sovereign individual thinks they can just, opt out of.
So he's probing them, looking for weak spots in their authority over him.
Exactly. He's testing their legitimacy in his eyes. And he even challenges one person who says they are a public servant, declaring, you do not have my consent to put your hands on me or arrest me. It's all about denying consent, challenging that assumed authority.
Okay, and this is where, for me, it gets really fascinating. Our speaker, he explicitly says, let the court take notice that I have the birth certificate for that person. Then clarifies, I am the third-party intervener, and asks, is there a claim here against me in this court? This feels like he's trying to draw a line in the sand.
Yes. This is such a pivotal aha moment if you want to understand this philosophy. For someone like this, your birth certificate, it isn't just a record. No. It's seen as the document that actually creates a separate thing, a legal fiction.
Oh, legal fiction.
Yeah, basically like a corporate entity or a person. Often they point to your name, written in all capital letters, as symbolizing this fiction.
Like on official documents.
Exactly. And they believe the legal system, the courts, the statutes, they only apply to that legal fiction, not to the living, breathing sovereign you. So by whipping out the birth certificate and saying he's a third-party intervener, he's essentially arguing that person named in the case. That's not me. I'm just here intervening on behalf of that other entity.
Wow. Okay, let me see if I've got this straight. They believe the name on the birth certificate, often in all caps, that's like a separate legal thing, a construct.
Pretty much, yeah.
Not your actual living self. And that construct is what the courts have power over. Is that the separation he's trying to force by calling himself a third-party intervener?
That's precisely it. He's attempting to distance his living, breathing self, the sovereign man, from the legal construct, the person, that the court is trying to address. He sees the court's jurisdiction as limited only to that legal person.
Yeah.
By intervening for it, he thinks he keeps his own sovereignty intact.
Okay. The tension in that room must have been something else. So as things move on, he describes the bailiffs finally coming towards him, closing in at the bar, telling him, "This is my courtroom, you have to leave."
Yeah, the inevitable point.
But his reaction, it's just remarkable. He yells over the bailiff, basically declaring, "I'm dismissing this case in the interest of justice. There's no claim here against me. My business here is done." I mean, talk about an astonishing moment.
It really is. He's not just resisting removal, he's unilaterally declaring the case dismissed. That's a complete assertion of his own authority, right?
Yeah.
Totally bypassing the judge, who he actually notes is just sort of in the background calling the next case.
Yeah, like it doesn't even involve the judge anymore.
And his interpretation of how the court reacts is just as telling. He claims the court seemed really hesitant to remove me, not like, other people who apparently get hauled off to jail quickly. He says the bailiffs were basically respecting my contract and not hurting me or not putting their hands on me, really arrest me.
Oh, wait. So he thinks their hesitation, the fact they maybe didn't immediately use force, he sees that as them validated his standing. Like they're somehow acknowledging his contract or his sovereign status, even if they don't say it.
That seems to be exactly his perception. He's interpreting their caution, which might just be standard procedure or de-escalation tactics, as proof that his own legal framework, his sovereignty, is actually being respected, maybe implicitly. It's a really key part of his belief that this whole approach actually works.
Okay, so all these actions, the standing, the questions, the birth certificate thing, they're clearly not random. They all point to this much deeper, pretty radical worldview. What is the absolute core of this belief system? He puts it bluntly, the whole system is a fraud, dude.
Yeah, that phrase kind of sums it up, doesn't it? At its heart, the belief is basically that the government, through things like birth certificates, social security numbers, maybe driver's licenses, essentially tricks you into becoming this person, this legal identity.
The legal fiction again.
Right. The fiction that they can then control through statutes and courts. They think that without your explicit consent, that control just doesn't apply to the real you, the sovereign man or woman. The fraud isn't necessarily about, individual corrupt officials, though they might believe that too, but about the entire structure of the legal system itself.
And that line he uses, "You can beat any ticket dog, the whole thing's a fraud," that shows how they apply this huge idea to just everyday stuff, right?
Exactly. It shows they genuinely believe they can just opt out of ordinary legal encounters if they know the trick.
But he doesn't just seem to want to opt out. He then escalates, right? Threatening future action. He says, "I'm just going to start filing affidavits on people because they're not listening and they're psychotic." And then later mentions filing a lien against them for the $5 billion I have. Okay, now, most people think of an affidavit as just a sworn statement and a lien as a claim on property if you owe money. How do these common legal terms get twisted into something so menacing in his view?
This really highlights the fascinating and often quite alarming way this philosophy sort of repurposes traditional legal tools. Within their framework, these aren't just standard documents. They become weapons.
Weapons.
Yeah. He believes he can issue his own affidavits that state his truth, his authority, and that these somehow hold a higher legal standing than government laws or court rulings. And the threat of a lien for $5 billion, that's almost certainly not about a literal debt he's owed.
Right.
It's more like a symbolic, massive claim for damages against the system or the people in it for violating his supposed sovereignty. Sometimes they tie these huge figures to the supposed value of that straw man legal fiction created by the birth certificate. It's like he's trying to turn the tables, assert financial power over the very system trying to control him.
So it's not just defense, it's offense. He's trying to use his own version of the law to actively control or punish the system's agents.
That seems to be the implication, yeah.
Yeah.
It's proactive and aggressive.
And what about that very last bit, where he's thinking about what happens if a warrant comes out for Christopher Fleming? He imagines saying, "Thank you for your legal determination that I'm not the person who you're looking for."
That just perfectly sums up his conviction, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He truly believes that if a warrant is issued for the legal fiction, the name Christopher Fleming on the documents, then he, the sovereign man, is entirely separate, untouchable. He's not the target. It's really the ultimate expression of this fundamental belief in the split between the living individual and the legal entity the state interacts with. He's not just defying the system, he seems to be operating in a completely different reality of legal accountability.
So let's try and wrap our heads around this. We've just peeled back the layers on this really extraordinary courtroom scene. It's all driven by this individual who just fundamentally challenges the court's authority by declaring himself a sovereign man. We've seen him disputing jurisdiction over this legal fiction, demanding oaths, even claiming to dismiss his own case. And it all seems to stem from this core belief that, the whole system is a fraud.
Yeah, this deep dive really brings home the profound conviction that people operating under these beliefs hold. It's clearly not just some random outburst in court. It's, like you said, a carefully constructed alternative reality,
right,
where things like consent and contract and who the real person is, they believe these can completely redefine the rules of the game. It really makes you think about the different ways people can interpret and interact with the power structures all around us.
Absolutely. For you looking at this, what stands out the most? Is it just the sheer confidence, or maybe the specific, almost arcane legal jargon they use, or just the mind-bending idea that you can walk in and declare your own case dismissed?
It's hard to pick one thing. Maybe it's the conviction that underpins it all.
Yeah. This transcript, just from one YouTube video, it reveals this fascinating tension, doesn't it? Between, individual autonomy pushed to an extreme and the societal structures we all operate within. It really makes you wonder, at what point does a personal philosophy become, in someone's mind, an entirely separate legal system?
That's a great question. And maybe how do established systems even begin to respond when they're confronted with such a radically different interpretation of their own authority? It's quite something.
All right, I'm going to try to play it again on this audio so we can see if we can get a better, clearer sound. You couldn't really hear the judge on the last one, so this is the 1019 in Westminster.
I'm here regarding that matter. Morning. I am the third-party intervener. I was the man arrested there that night. Are you the public trustee regarding this matter? So are you a public servant?
So who are you?
I'm a third-party intervener. I'm here regarding that matter. I have
Christopher Fleming.
Yeah, I have Christopher Fleming, the defendant, is here. Let the court take notice that I have the birth certificate for that person.
Sit down. I don't care who you are. You're not Christopher Fleming.
Okay, is there a claim against me? I'm not going to sit down. Is there a claim here against me in this court? Is this trial being recorded?
Sir, sit down.
Do you have an oath of office? Sir, do you have an oath of office? Is there a claim against me? Is this man a public servant?
No.
Are you a public servant?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, you do not have my consent to put your hands on me or arrest me.
Am I touching you?
I'm telling you, you do not have my consent. Excuse me,
What did the judge say? What did the judge say?
Is that a judge? I don't know. Sir, would you please identify yourself? Are you a public servant? Okay, well, if there's...
This whole time, I'm standing there right before the bar. The whole courtroom's full of people, and I'm standing up there at the bar. Everyone else is sitting down, he kept on calling it the dock, oh, come up to the dock. And, I remember I just stood there and I had all my paperwork all laid out, and the bailiff was coming up and approaching me at the bar, and walking up to the bar telling me, this is my courtroom, you have to leave, and blah, 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 blah. And the judge, you can hear in the background, the judge is calling the next case, and he has this guy standing there in front of him. And I'm just still standing back there, just yelling over him, just I'm dismissing this case in the interest of justice. There's no claim here against me. Then my business here is done, and basically so. But he wasn't really answering any of my questions. So I'm kind of expecting that. I've been told that it's not even a court of record, so supposedly this isn't going to go on the court record. But you'll see here that they were really hesitant to remove me from the court, whereas otherwise other people, they would just take them, just grab them, or throw them in the jail cell, or they're crazy. We know how they act. I'm gonna play some other clips that I have from me being arrested or other times, and you just see how quick the judge loses it. But the bailiffs normally can't help themselves, and they showed a little bit of character by basically respecting my contract and not hurting me or not putting their hands on me really or arresting me. So
If there is no claim here against me, let it be noted on the court record that I, the sovereign man, am a peaceful man living on the land. Come on, guys. And this case is dismissed in the interest of justice. You don't have my hand. You don't have my. Get out of the. You do not have my consent. I'm going to ask you once. Okay. Get out of the court. I conditionally accept your offer to contract, and I'll let you know. I'm going to be right now. I'm going to take you out. I have business here. This is my days. I paid for this. Or I'm going to take you out. Sir, I don't understand. Sir, I don't understand. We'll talk to you outside. Let it be noted on the court record I'm now being assaulted and removed from the courtroom. Go outside. This is under protest and arrest. This case has been dismissed in the interest of justice for cause and prejudice. Thank you very much. If you have a problem, go to the self-help right there. Talk to them. My business here is done. Whatever you have, talk to them. Was this trial being recorded? My business here is done. Goodbye. I've appeared for the person. The legal fiction in this case is dismissed. That's all. All right, thank you. The whole system's a fraud, dude. You're not a person. You have a person. Your name in all capital letters is a person. They get jurisdiction. They get jurisdiction authority over you because you're a U.S. citizen. This whole thing is a scam. Google it, dude. Look this shit up on the back of my head. UCC1. It can be any ticket, dog. The whole thing's a fraud. Alright.
I think that's it. Alright. So, yeah, I think that's the end of the clip. I don't know. I have the headphones on the speaker. Hopefully that'll come out clear and we can hear the audio a little bit better, so you guys can hear some response to the judge. But you can see how many times, or if you're not the person, the other way you can go with it is, if you're not Christopher Fleming, I'm going to issue a warrant for Christopher Fleming. Then, well, thank you for your legal determination that I'm not the person who you're looking for, that I'm not the man that you're looking for. And basically you're done, because now you just told them that you're appearing there as the man, or the real man or woman, and now they're going to issue a warrant for the legal person while you're the only authorized person. It's like, you know, just go and file your affidavits. Like that's the only thing. I'm just going to start filing affidavits on these people because they're not listening and they're psychotic. So for the most part, this is a win. So I'll let you guys know when I get a response from the court, if I do, to my contract, and then I'm going to be filing a lien against them for the $5 billion I have. All right, love you later.